Welcome everyone to another episode of Trident Talks. I'm Josh, Recruitment Director here at Trident. Very pleased to say that we're joined today by Iain Ashall, who is the Head of Security Operations at ITC Secure. Welcome, Iain.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, a bit about your background and yeah, it'd be really great.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So Ashall, as you mentioned, the Head of Security Operations Centre at ITC Secure, a managed services security provider we're in Canary Wharf. I spent 9 years in the military. I was in the Royal Air Force, and I've been out for about 5 or 6 years now doing commercial work.
Nice. What was it you done in the RAF? In the RAF?
I've
been staying in hotels.
So in the RAF, it was a mixture of, I started out doing basically like help desk type work and did some like retrieving of computers and bits and pieces like that, fixing them, putting them back out and about. Towards the last part of my career was involved in security awareness and intelligence-based stuff, and also some cybersecurity pieces.
So yeah, Head of Security Operations Centre now at ITC Secure. For those that don't know, if you wouldn't mind, just elaborate a little bit more on who are ITC, what's your role there, and yeah, who are they?
So I'm responsible for the management of the SOC and all the analysts within that. So I have a shift team. It's comprised of 5 people at the moment, and then I have a more senior team that do the day's work. It's about 4 or 5 people in there, and we between the 2 different teams, I'm responsible for making sure that everybody's okay, everybody's turning up for work, and that the services that we deliver are the best that we can do. Most of my work at the moment, because of everything that's going on in the world, is sort of centered around meetings. And we've got a lot of new customers in the pipeline, so sorting those out does require quite a lot of meetings. So from my role, there's additional interaction with sales engineering, and our networks team to make sure everything is smooth and is ready to go for our customers.
Nice. It's quite holistic, dealing with all the other leadership teams or leadership personnel on the other teams. So that's, I suppose, ITC Secure. So you're a managed security service provider, right? And you have all your end clients, and obviously you provide that managed service. Obviously, with COVID and everything going on at the moment, the threat surface or attack surface of most of your customers now would have widened somewhat. A lot of the vulnerabilities now are at the kind of outside of the network, right, or right at the peripheral of corporate network, not quite behind a firewall with all the different remote workers. How has that affected your guys and your teams, and how they are they working longer hours now because they've got more to protect, or are you having to? What's the kind of challenges you're facing now because of COVID?
The SOC itself is 24/7 operation, so we're working all the hours. So we've seen an uptick in things that, you would be expecting, and if you do some searching out and about, you'll find that there's an increase in phishing emails, there's an increase in targeted attacks on healthcare sector and stuff. So ITC Secure partners with C5 and the Global Cyber Alliance to really help out healthcare companies in that sort of sector, in those sectors, and dealing with COVID-19 and the problems it presents. The challenges, I suppose, that we face as a result of COVID-19 are around recruitment, if I'm honest. I think a lot of people have decided to stay put and ride this out and just see what happens. And maybe sometimes with getting a new role, you also then have to accept the risk of going on probation, and that's something that I don't think people really want to do right now. That being said, I am hiring. I'm looking for a senior role. We've adapted really well, actually, to our interview process and our recruitment process that we've been going through so far. So we do virtual interviews. In my personal life, regarding COVID-19, I'm quite enjoying not doing the morning commute, to be honest. I was trying to fit in the gym in the morning and then commute in. I've sort of lost the routine of it all.
On that recruitment process, obviously this was something that was obviously it was forced upon us, right? Let's say go down that route, I suppose. And everyone's so used to, as obviously yourself being a hiring manager, so used to having that face-to-face contact before you hire someone. Have you found the transition quite, I suppose, easy? Has it been quite seamless? Obviously, you've got a recruitment team in place. They can support you in terms of process and logistics. But for you as a hiring manager, when you're trying to get the buy-in from someone, and also the other way around, you're trying to sell the company, the role, the future of the potential candidates coming aboard, things like body language and stuff over videos, has it been quite seamless for you? Have you kind of adapted to that? Obviously, you're conducting interviews at the moment for a senior role.
Yeah, so I think in that regard, it's been okay. We've been using Zoom, Teams, etc. to have those calls and to get a good feel for body language with people. But one of the things that I think we're missing out on our recruitment is that our office in Canary Wharf has got quite a nice view, if I'm honest, and it's state-of-the-art SOC as well. So we've got big screens on the walls. There's all sorts going on, and removing that from the recruitment process, it is a thing. It is a negative.
How are you kind of planning to bring people back on board, and especially for 24/7, right? And then I suppose my second question is, how are you engaging with your staff? How are you going about that, keeping the culture together, and obviously lots of video calls, of course, but I think endless Zoom quizzes I don't think are the answer anymore.
I think you're right there. We've all done our fair share of quizzes, but I have regular check-ins in my team. I've just increased the frequency of those, and then I've checked to see whether that frequency is okay with them. I don't want them to feel like I'm micromanaging their personal life, or whether they feel okay or anything like that. So, I mean, it's really about just making sure that the interaction that I have with them is at the right level for them. And if it's too much, then we just dial it down. We skip a couple of meetings here and there, and we pick them up when that person then wants to talk again. Otherwise, we just go to monthly. So for my senior guys, it sort of changes, to be honest, depending on their availability and whether they want to do more frequent check-ins.
And then let's move away from COVID. Everyone's sick of talking about it, but in terms of just general challenges, right? You run a SOC. It's a complicated setup, logistics, 24/7, follow the sun methodology, lots of shift patterns. Someone that hasn't worked in a SOC, for example, before, or run a SOC, give us an insight on what kind of challenges do you face?
There's quite a lot of challenges around training, just as a view across the whole thing and the process of it. So training is a big thing. So if I was to take a graduate or a service leaver, or somebody who, let's say, wasn't from typically a cybersecurity background, that I would have to train them up, get them skilled up, and that can take a matter of months, depending on what else is going on, that person's ability to learn or to want to learn that thing. Sometimes people just don't like certain technologies, the way it is. And so that process and trying to get everything as refined as possible and get them ready to go in the SOC is a challenge. And some people just are the opposite of that, right? Some people just gobble everything up to do with training. They get involved in everything. They are basically all over it, and they're ready quicker.
If I may put myself now in a graduate shoes, or a service leaver, for example, where you were a few years ago, what's your advice, or I suppose more, what do you see that you would think people can improve on and stuff? So I'm sure you sat in so many interviews as a hiring manager.
I think I'm quite fortunate at the moment. As you're aware, my brother Jack is a graduate, and he's going through this process from a graduate perspective, and I've been through the service leaver perspective. Firstly, what I would say to anybody who wants to try and get into the cybersecurity area, first and foremost, if you're a graduate or you're a service leaver, you have free access to the Immersive Labs platform, the online gamified learning platform. Sign up to it, get studying, get involved, and then mention it when you go into your interviews. So if you have an interview, bring it up. Immersive Labs is getting out there now. And so if you say that you did, let's say a lab in open source intelligence, talk about it. What was good about it? What did you enjoy about it? What did you take away from it? And that then gives the hiring manager something then to probe down deeper into and go, okay, so you know about this. And then as a hiring manager, can pivot off of that to find out, well, what's the depth of your knowledge and what else did you study? So that's a great resource to begin with. Secondly, for any service leavers, what I would say is get involved with Tech Vets, a really, really useful group. It includes training, additional information around any roles that are available, and it's just a community. And one of the things that I found is networking really, really does help you. If there's any other things you can get involved in, if you're in London, there's a Waterloo Cyber Club, get involved with that, and just help yourself out, basically.
Thanks, mate. And
I suppose finally,
nice little plug there for Waterloo.
well, we've had a couple of those meetings, and they've both been great. Good. And then what I'd say also is look for additional qualifications. So if you've done a degree in, let's say, computer forensics, that's great. It shows that you've got the knowledge in that computer forensics. But there's also, in some companies that you apply for, there's a HR sift that happens before they take note of the degree or additional information that you've provided to them about your experience and background. And it may be that things like Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, and the CompTIA Cybersecurity Analyst Plus are the sorts of things that you need to just tick off to say that you have that basic understanding and knowledge. So I think the books are maybe £20 to £30, and I think the course itself, to take the exam, is probably around about £200.
Yeah.
If you can afford to do it, my advice would be do it. Those two courses, if you do both of them, I think CompTIA also give you an additional qualification on top of it. I think it's like cybersecurity professional, and they get you through HR sifts. So for some of the larger companies where the CV doesn't go direct to the hiring manager, you're just helping yourself out. I think university students also have the ability to get the books for these for free, but you'd have to check. I think it changes per university.
Cool. So good advice. Thank you. And then lastly, this could be quite a long topic, but we'll keep it short. The future of SOC. Obviously, you're a man, big advocate of Azure Sentinel. We will bring you back onto this blog to talk purely Azure Sentinel. You can talk us all through it and show us how it works and the ins and outs, because I know so many people that want to know what it looks like from a visual and the usability of it. But you're obviously in the thick of it. What does it look like, the future of SOC? Is it automation? Is it less analysts, more AI and ML and stuff? Or is it, tell us from your perspective, what do you think it looks like in the next 12 months, 3 years? What do you think?
I see next 3-5 years, the future, whatever, to really move towards more machine learning, more automation, more response to be done automatically. Let's take Microsoft, for example. You'll know that I'm a fan of Microsoft, but they're putting in $6 billion over 4 years into their security research and development, and that doesn't include acquisitions or anything else. Yep. That type of investment, there's only a few companies in the world that really can plow that much money into developing security. And as you know from Microsoft, they've got a complete tech stack, right? So they go from everything from the help desk to the license that you use to the Excel, everything, all the way through to Sentinel doing the security pieces. And what they're doing quite well, and I bring this up because I think there's more that's going to come with these tech giants, is that they're aligning their tech stack to security elements, and the security elements then are being acted on and being responded by automation and response elements. So when someone uses Windows Defender ATP, or just even Windows Defender, there's actions that Defender ATP can take on behalf of the customer. So you can change the levels in which you want the automation response to be like. So you can either have it partial, so you've got a particular server that you want only a certain response to be taken, or you can have it on full, where Defender just goes, right, I've seen something bad, I'm gonna stop that. And that is useful because customers don't want a SOC that is, or what we're seeing even is customers that don't want a SOC that then just says, oh, by the way, there's a virus on your network, you probably want to do something about that. What they want is, there's a virus on the network, or there was a virus on the network, and you've used that antivirus solution or that EDR solution, and that's now no longer a problem. We did the action on your behalf, don't worry, we've got you sorted. And that's one key bit. And then there's additional bits beyond that as well. So with the SOAR capabilities of security orchestration, automation and response part, is that we then want to build in additional pieces. So if that user is continuously doing something that's malicious and something that you wouldn't expect them to be doing, but we can go and block them in Azure AD, or we could. And these playbooks, these automation orchestration pieces, build that out so that you, as a customer, have the ability to then say, right, in this regard, if you ever see this alert, this is the type of action that I want you to take. And I do feel like that's the way that the future is going. And looking at two of the other large companies that I've got in mind, like Google and AWS or Amazon, we think about Google again have got massive revenue. With that, they've got this tool called Chronicle, which is kind of like Azure Sentinel if you ever look at it. It's about taking in as many log sources as possible, providing cloud data at cloud scale, etc., all the buzzwords for sales. But it's a really powerful platform, and we did look at this a while back, but it kept appearing, then it would go away and it would come back. But that's not to say that in the future they might get a grip of it when they've looked at how Microsoft and Sentinel is working, and then really push that forward. In AWS, they've got, it's called Guard Duty. They're already building automation and response into that. So again, all they've got to do is just put money into it. I think it's just a waiting game on some of these big companies. just waiting to see, all right, so Microsoft's doing it right now. Do we need to do it? Are they coming in and encroaching on our land, and we need to take that back? And Sentinel does, right? Sentinel does take in Azure logs, and it also takes in Google Cloud Platform logs. So my opinion, and maybe I'll be wrong, but my opinion is that we'll see some of these big tech giants really push into the security market.
I can see also that for acquisitions, not necessarily just purely raw R&D, right? Where they're going to pump billions into R&D. Yes, that's helpful, obviously, and lots of ML and AI and stuff to, like, what's the biggest bugbear for your analysts at the moment? It's false positives, it's noise, it's not allowing them to be proactive, right? Threat hunting and things like that is just sat being reactive because it's so much noise and what's a true alert or not. But I can see them also acquiring smaller startups when they find a bit of tech. They're like, oh, I like that. Instead of us building it ourselves, we'll just acquire that, implement it, and absorb it into Sentinel, for example. And great, we have another tool that our customers can use, and again keeps them at the forefront of the market. Very, very interesting. Lots to digest. But like I said, we're going to get you back on, and just purely, I want to learn more around your Sentinel. I know there's so many people that are keen just to see the visual and walk and talk through in a good 15-20 minutes of just learning how it all works and why it is at the forefront of the market, and why you're a big advocate of it, and bringing it on board with ITC and onboarding customers into that scene tool. So yeah, awesome. Iain, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. It's been great to have you on another episode of Trident Talk. And yeah, thank you very much, and we'll speak soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.